Hi guys. Thank you very much for joining us on another MoreNiche SEO webinar. We're joined with Josh, who's going to introduce himself shortly. Just to say that this will be recorded, so if you want to watch it back afterwards, then don't feel free. Feel free. Don't feel like you have to make loads of notes live. And we're going to go through the pre-submitted questions, but if we have time, I'll open up the chat and we'll take some live questions. But hopefully, all of the pre-submitted questions were really, really good. We have about 45 questions. We're going to open this up in three different topics. So we're going to go through on-site SEO first. We're going to do off-site SEO, and then we're going to talk about Google algorithm. So, welcome, Josh. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
My pleasure. I hope I can help you guys out quite a bit.
So maybe you could just, tell us a little bit. I'm sure most people will know who you are, but for those that don't, maybe a little introduction.
Sure. It's the infamous Josh Bachynski. So my name is Josh Bachynski. I've been doing SEO for 20 plus years or so, off and on. And my main kind of claim to fame is I've done Whiteboard Fridays. I'm the originator of the Disavow Gate scandal. I'm kind of a scientific by nature. I have a master's degree. I was doing a PhD in the social sciences. And I'm kind of a science-based kind of guy. And I'm also the kind of guy who I don't tolerate a lot of BS. And sadly, the SEO industry is filled with a lot of BS. From Google all the way down to the SEO practitioners. So I'm kind of famous for opening my big mouth and saying what I think is true and what's going on. And I've definitely made a name for myself in that regard. So I have a SEO show. I've been doing an SEO show for years, but it was called SEO Hangouts previously, but now it's called the White Hat versus Black Hat SEO show. I do it every Thursdays at 1 p.m. And you can go to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/jbachins. That's JBACHYNS to go check that out. And I basically am talking the SEO gospel and trying to help people and businesses actually make money and not lose money and give them good SEO information and not bad SEO information. So that's kind of what I'm about.
Nice. And so you mentioned the BS that travels from the top all the way through.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? Because you go on, you put any kind of comment out there and people are going to disagree with it. They're going to argue with it. What do you do? Just ignore it, or?
That's a great question. So I put that in two categories. One, it's the BS that Google is saying. And two is the BS that all the SEOs are saying. So when it comes to Google, I've had a lot of really high-profile arguments with them. I had that pretty popular or infamous debate with Matt Cutts before he quit Google. Just a couple of months before he quit, actually. I don't want to say I'm the guy who made him quit, but maybe I was. So there's a bit of a delay, Andrew. So if you want if you want to jump in, please. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, keep going.
And then I've had also with Paul Haar recently. I've had debates with him. I've had debates with John Mueller. So my basic thesis there. I made a documentary about Google. It's going to be on iTunes very shortly. I'm just going through a distribution agreement with a company. My the 5-second thesis there is that Google is a giant monopoly and they have a bigger social responsibility to the business owners that they just kind of like a digital Walmart, they run roughshod over. So that's my political position there. But daily, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help businesses make money on Google. And the other problem to that is the SEO category I talked about. And the problem with the SEO industry is that they're not trained scientists. And so, for example, take your average SMX, nothing against people in SMX, but take your average SMX white hat SEO who just reads blogs and give them a job in a science, in a science laboratory. They would be fired in 4 days because they just don't know scientific procedure. They just don't know scientific method. They think word of mouth and rumor and hearsay is a priori beneficial scientific evidence knowledge. It's not. And
So affiliates, I feel like fall into two different camps. You're either a content creator and you love content and you know nothing about data or science, and or you're a data guy and you're not very good at creating content. And yet Google keep telling us create better content, don't worry about ranking. And yeah, there's a disconnect there.
oh, for sure. I mean, Google is not your friend. Google's not here to help you. Google very rarely wants to help SEOs these days. Back in the day, when you'd go to a conference and you'd have a beer with, Gary Ilyish or John Mueller or Matt Cutts or Miley Oye or any of these people, they would give you some secrets. They would tell you some stuff because you're there, and everyone likes to be the rock star. And so, you're having beers with them, and they might say, hey, you know what? Links really are important. You should do it. They'll throw you a little bone, right? It's not that way anymore. Google very closely protects their Google algorithm. They really don't help even white hats anymore. Really, they try to, but everything they say is approved by the public relations department before they can say it. They all say the exact same sentence, PR speak, that they've been told to say. And so, they're definitely not helping SEOs out anymore. They're definitely trying to obfuscate the ranking algorithms. Because quite frankly, some of us in the SEO industry, we got a little link happy, and we made a little bit too many links, and we built a little bit too many automated pages that Google ranked a little too highly, right back around in 2007, 2008. And with the spam pages kind of fiasco. And Google decided ever since then that we're not their friend, and they're not going to throw us any more bones. So, yeah, when they say, "Oh, don't worry, keywords don't matter," they're lying. When they say content is the most important thing or the only thing, they're lying. Whatever comes out of their mouth, they're generally lying. You can't really trust a lot of what Google says. Like if they say, we're doing a speed update in a month, and you better watch out for that. That you can trust. That is an honest to God, a suggestion from them trying to help you and trying to help themselves not have to deal with 10 million angry SEOs in a month's time, right? So that's something from Google you can trust. But when they say, yeah, keywords don't matter, that's not something you should trust. That's something you should be definitely scientifically testing on your own. Or you should join a scientific group like I run. I run a mentorship club where we do scientific tests every week. And we have found some amazing jaw-dropping discoveries of what actually is ranking these days and what is not. And if I could tell you what Google is actually doing these days, I'll try to tell you a little bit over the course of the questions. Your eyes would pop out of your head.
Okay, so some of these questions are going to be fairly slanted towards the recent. Well, we're trying not to call it Google Medic, but that's the name that seems to be sticking.
The unfortunate name, yeah.
So the August first and ongoing algorithm movements. So some of these questions are going to obviously sort of be referring back to that. But I'm just going to kick off. So we're going to start with the on-site stuff. And the first question is about, and there's two questions basically asking the same sort of thing. But the first one being like, if a website has got, 1,000 pages and a number of those are just getting zero traffic and zero love, should they be removed, and should we be cleaning up the content on the website?
That's a really good question. Oh, sorry. So I'd say it really depends on kind of your topic. It's dangerous to delete pages. On the one end, I use this concept called a ranking cluster. So let's say you have 10 pages on your site that are all interlinked, and they're all roughly about the same topic. They all have something to do with red apples. I always like to use the red apples. You could use red shoes or blue widgets, whatever you want. But I say red apples. So let's say your site's about red apples. You have 10 pages about that. That's your ranking cluster. And RankBrain, which is the latest AI from Google, is going to make kind of intelligent, semi-intelligent decisions based on the relevancy it detects on those pages. When I say relevancy, I mean two things. I mean the actual semantic on the page and the user clicks you get. So remember, for Google, it's always a two-part system. the signals they see telling you what your page is about, both on-site and off-site. And then to close that loop, it's the user clicks that they watch. And they watch every single user click they got in every single browser they can see, which is just about all of them. And that closes the loop that tells them that indeed this page is about red apples. It talks about red apples. All of its backlinks talk about red apples. And this cluster of pages about that. And then we give them one candidate from that cluster, and they clicked it. And so that's the candidate we're going to keep running with. Or we gave them one candidate from that cluster, and people didn't click it. They didn't like it. They bounced back. They pogo sticked. And then we're not going to use that candidate anymore. We're going to try a different candidate, or we're not going to try any candidates from that website at all. And we're going to try other websites, right? Yeah. So I think when you're going to delete some pages on your site, you have to be very careful that you're not taking out of your ranking cluster, that you're not taking the better pages off your site. Now, if these are pages with zero traffic, I guess you can assume these are pages that Google doesn't like. It would always be a good idea to improve those if possible. But recent tests I've done actually show that internal links and silos are more or less much, much less important than people think they are. You don't need to have a big, huge site anymore in my testing that I found, surprisingly, to compete with other sites. And so you could delete them, but again, I would be very leery to change your URLs once they're already operational. To answer that question, I would really need to take a look at the site and see if I think it would hurt you to remove those pages.
But generally, if you can show Google which one is the main one, is that would that be useful for if you've got one that's, so say you've got 3 pages that are ranking for the same keywords. Is there value in potentially removing 2 of them and making one of them the best it could possibly be?
Yeah, there is. Again, you have to be very careful about that because RankBrain does some really strange choices where it's clearly it's about on-page semantic. We found that keywords matter so much, you wouldn't believe how much, in certain spots, certain keywords in certain spots. And so the on-page semantic is obviously important, and then the user clicks are important. But there seems to be this kind of variance, like it just decides at random sometimes to choose other pages and to try other pages. And so, again, yes, in theory, 301ing those other 2 pages to your one page and making that the best ranking candidate possible and ramrodding RankBrain into choosing that page, then ostensibly that'd be the page you've done all your conversion rate optimization and all your user experience optimization, and it's converting the best, and it's gotten the best clicks. It's giving people exactly what they want. And I use conversion in the most loose sense. I mean, you can get conversions on a blog. A conversion on a blog is that they get the information they want and you terminate the search. No. A conversion on an e-commerce site is a conversion. And there's all kind of micro conversions before that, big, what they call the macro conversion. But yeah, so ostensibly that'd be a good thing to do. But again, I'd be a little leery of just getting a general kind of suggestion. Yeah, delete your pages, because that could be a very dangerous thing to do.
Sure. Okay. And you kind of touched on it in the answer there, in terms of the keyword density and is there a rule of what keyword density is recommended?
Yes, there definitely is. So the short answer is get a piece of software that can do this for you. The longer answer is, let me share my screen because I have some software here that I think would be very useful if I could figure out how to share the screen on this thing.
Should be the 3rd button in from the top.
There we go. You tell me if you can see the screen here.
Yep, we can.
Okay, so there's 2 pieces of software that I want to put your guys' attention to when it comes to on-page changes and suggestions. First off, here is my URL. You should go look at bit.ly/SEO proof and secretseo.guru. These are my URLs with all my recent examples of all the proof of why you should be listening to me in the first place. And this should be the first thing you ask in SEO. Why should I be listening to you? Where's your proof? Where is all the examples where you could show me that you actually know what you're talking about? And so you should be able to see a lot of graphs where they clearly know what they're talking about. And so just go to these places and you'll see that these are all real examples. You can check the date on the files for bit.ly SEO proof. This is just a bit.ly into a Dropbox folder I drop all my recent examples into of all the success that not only I'm getting from my clients or from my own websites, but that my mentor students are getting as well. So again, just check that out on your own time, just so you know that you should be listening to me in the first place. Now, to answer the question about keyword density, I belong to a lot of SEO testing groups. So like I said, everything I'm talking about here and all the answers I'm giving you are based on scientific single variable experiments where we remove all the other variables as much as we can, and we're just testing one thing at a time. Like, for example, does the image tag boost rankings? Does the alt attribute boost rankings? If you use the name attribute, is going to boost rankings, etc. If you use a title tag, is that going to boost rankings, etc. We've tested all these. We've run over 300 tests between my test group and my sister test group that I'm also a member of. They've done 200 tests. I've done about 100 tests. And so we have a very high level scientific knowledge of what the ranking factors are right now. Not the opinions of what everyone says, but what it is. So anyway, what we found out in these experiments is quite fascinating. And these two pieces of software here are what I'm referring to, is that we found out by doing the scientific experiments what the actual keyword spots on the page are that Google is watching and what they're not. That's one thing. The other thing is we found out the actual variance of keywords you need in these pages versus the keyword synonyms. We found out you actually need keyword synonyms as well. So, for example, if here's a page and here's the title, here's the H1, here's a paragraph, here's an H2, here's an unordered list, whatever it is. We found out not only do you need a main keyword here and here and here, and here, a bunch of them here actually. We found out that you need a keyword variant or a synonym to go here and here and here and here and all these different places as well. And we found this out through scientific testing. So this is not just our opinion. This is what the evidence showed us. And we found out that actually it's quite complex in generating your page. It's not just, I can't just say, oh, you want a keyword density of 2.2%. That I can't just give you a simple rule like that because that's just not how it works. So what we did is, as my friend Kyle, who did most of the software testing, I did about 20% of it. He did about 80% of it. He made a piece of software called Page Optimizer Pro. And that's the URL to get it right there, bit.ly/get-pop, capital P-O-P. And I would say if you want any on-page suggestion from me, get this piece of software and just do what it recommends. The only thing I would be careful about with this software is, one, it's only as good as you use it. So you have to, it's a bit of an art as well as a science. You have to put in the proper competition because this keywords you want to do here is relative to all of your competitor pages that you're competing with on the SERP. If they have a certain percentage through here of keyword density in these various spots, you have to match their keyword density and slightly beat it in the same keyword spots. So that's the secret that Google's been hiding. That's why it's so hard to figure out how the on-page is supposed to work, because they've broken it down to certain spots and they tweak these spots and they change these spots over time. They have been ever since April 16th. So it's hard to do this by hand. It's hard to do this by giving you a rule. It's virtually impossible, actually. You need a piece of software to help you. So this is one piece of software I could recommend. It's very cost effective, and we've gotten nothing but good results with this. The only time we run into problems is when it says you want to remove keywords. I would ignore those suggestions for now. Otherwise, you can trust this piece of software. If you want a much more robust piece of software that checks not only the on-page factors and all the off-page factors and the social factors as well, so it does the same thing as POP except more, it's this piece of software called Quora. And again, this is not a sales pitch for POP or Quora, but just to give you a bit of a background, Quora is a piece of software written by Ted Kubaitis, who is also my good friend in the SEO industry. You probably noticed him on SE Roundtable recently, telling people there about correlation and how to use it. His software is extremely powerful. Like I said, I'm not going to give a sales pitch for it, but just check it out or watch some of my SEO shows here on my YouTube to get a better sense of what Quora and POP can do for you and how they operate. Because these two things are based on highly detailed scientific principles that I don't think a lot of people understand. This is based on statistics. You'd have to take a 4-year BA just to understand what this guy is doing for statistics before you just discount it. And this, again, is based on all single variable experiments of us testing, of us putting keywords in spots and seeing what happens in a controlled environment on gibberish pages. And so anyway, any on-page question you're going to ask me, my answer is going to be do what these pieces of software tell you to do.
Okay, so that's, I guess, related also to things like anchor text, ratios for anchor text. There is a specific question about anchor text here. So one affiliate's asking, how do you pick the correct anchor text ratio when linking to a review page like product name review? I have found that on my website, info content ranks much better than individual reviews, despite, I guess, a lot of his links pointing to the review pages.
Yeah, I can't speculate as to what he's seeing in the wild because, again, one principle of using the scientific method is I don't speculate in what's going into the wild. All I do is I do a single variable experiment. It tells me whether this is a ranking factor or not. Putting a keyword here, for example, and then I know it's a ranking factor no matter what people are seeing in the wild. That's the other problem with the SEO industry is that we have way too many people making way too many guesses about what they're seeing in the wild, and they have no idea what's going on. That's how you get people thinking that the disavow file works, for example, because they made a disavow file like a month ago, and then suddenly their rankings change, and they go, oh, it must have been that disavow file I did. When Google has done 3 updates since then, and they've gotten links, they've lost links, they've added pages, they've removed pages, and all their competition has done the same. And so it's complete. That's complete cause correlation fallacy. That's complete failure right there. So I can't speculate as to what he's seeing in the wild, but let me let you into a little secret of one of the experiments I did. I tried to prove that negative SEO through linking was false, and I proved it. I sent 150,000 of the dirtiest, spammiest GSA is like the German SE nuke, GSA links to a page, and it was all exact match anchor text. It was 100% exact match query anchor text. And you know what I did? I ranked that page number 1 for years. For years, that page was number 1 with all 100% exact match anchor text, 150,000 of them pointing directly at the page. Wow. Pages about spam, pages about Viagra, pages about illegal things, but all the anchor text was the exact match query, and the query was something like this, because I always use just garbage keywords like this that Google's never seen before. All the anchor text was exactly this, 100% of it. And every single linking test I've done, and I've done about a dozen linking tests after that, every single one was all exact match query. So in testing, I have never, ever seen exact match anchor text ever cause any kind of a problem for any page whatsoever. It's not the anchor text. It has more to do with the backlink page itself and different factors of the backlink page, like what site it's on, how spammy it is, if it's duplicated, if it's spun, if it's bad grammar, if it's got 10 links in it, 1 to a chiropractic site, 1 to a law site, 1 to a herbal pill site. It's other factors like that that make the difference. So to answer the anchor text question, in testing, I've never seen that be a problem. However, that being said, I would definitely use Quora and find out what the percentage of exact match query anchor text is, and I would try and be in that realm and no greater. Why? Because just to mitigate your risk of bubbling up to the manual team, you don't want any of your various linking factors to bubble up your page to the manual team and then they take a look at it, because you need plausible deniability. Plausible deniability for linking, plausible deniability is the most important factor, so that when the manual team looks at it, this is all that matters for linking, is plausible deniability. So when the manual team looks at it, they go, did this guy buy this link, or did this author donate it? I don't know. I can't tell at the end of the day. Fine, I won't give them a penalty.
No.
That's what you need. So in that case, exact match query anchor text could be fine as long as you have plausible deniability, as long as it looks natural. It makes sense that somebody would make that natural link. But again, there's so many other factors on a backlink page you need to worry about. That's not just the anchor text. In fact, the anchor text never seemed to make a difference in over 150,000 links that I made.
Perfect. Okay, that's great. Really, really good information. So one question about links, and this is more for links on the actual page, linking out. So a question about affiliate links and whether you have seen if there's an option between direct linking, so linking directly to the site, or linking through a 301 affiliate link. Do you imagine there's going to be a difference from Google's perspective on that page?
Yes, definitely. So I've also tested affiliate links. I've also tested just linking out to like Wikipedia and stuff like that. And this is what I found out. Google does have a bias against affiliate links and affiliate sites in general. I don't trust them. You never necessarily want to let them see you have affiliate links. And in terms of linking out to Wikipedia, you should never do that. In all of our testing, whenever we've linked out, we've demoted the page. And so I would no follow any link outs to Wikipedia and any kind of affiliate links at the very least. In fact, typically I would cloak affiliate links. I would route them through a server-side JavaScript. I would route them through a 302 and robot out that 302 so Google can't crawl it, or robot out the server-side JavaScript. I would always cloak affiliate links. And again, that's just a matter of risk mitigation. I don't trust Google, and I've definitely added affiliate links before and seen them suddenly give that website a spam penalty, for example.
Yeah, so we obviously have the technology to allow affiliates to link directly, so they don't need any tracking on their page whatsoever.
Okay.
So I would 100% recommend affiliates do that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's the way you should be doing it. I mean, the technology is possible with cookies and whatnot and like a database of the referring page that you don't necessarily need to use a big, long, ugly URL string. One thing you guys got to watch out for there is if you have a very big affiliate network, Google does write custom algorithms for affiliate networks that they recognize. I'm sure it's some nice link juice coming to your site, but you might want to have your affiliates no follow. I'm not sure how you feel about that because, again, it's some nice link juice for your site. You might want to be like, oh, never mind that one, Josh. But
no, we recommend 301 everything, yeah.
Yeah, but they might want to no follow those links. But here, let me let you in another little secret. No follows pass juice. No follow links are still going to help you rank. We've done tons of testing with no follow links, and they seem to pass just as much juice almost as do follow links in testing. So that's one thing I keep that to yourselves because all the link sellers on Upwork still give me no follow links for free or for like $5. So I let them do it, even though I know no follow links are helping me rank.
One question, quite specific question. Would you trust and agree what John Muller said that Google are not prioritizing fresh, new content?
No, I wouldn't agree. And it's because people ask John Mueller the wrong question. Of course, they're prioritizing fresh content in niches and only in niches where fresh content matters. But the fact of the matter is that fresh content matters in just about all the niches, right? I mean, if you're looking for some historical knowledge on what happened in 1876, well, I guess that doesn't ever change. Although that's not even true either, because historians come out with new theories about how this event happened or what happened here all the time. So to tell you the truth, I cannot think of a single niche in which date doesn't matter, unless you're specifying you want to see the Super Bowl from 2016 or you want some kind of information like that. That's the only information that the date matters. That it matters. It's not the newest date. Otherwise, Google almost always wants to rank the freshest content. I haven't done a lot of scientific testing in that, but what I have tested is putting the date always in the title. Like, for example, my title for like selling that red apples page would be something like, wow, get the best red apples 2018. So if you ever see that, if you ever see someone saying wow in the front of their title, that's either me or one of my students. So this is what I would do. Let's say, and this is how I would do it. This would be the keyword I'm trying to rank for. Red apples, or even best red apples is the keyword I'm trying to rank for. And I would always, if I have room, I would put always the year in it. And I always like to put some kind of another kind of sentiment word like that, because Google tracks sentiment, and we're just testing now how much of a ranking factor that is. Not only that, but then people see the sentiment and they click it more. This gets a higher click-through rate. So again, it's just my recommendation. I don't have any scientific basis for this particular recommendation, other than in all my in the wild testing, I do this and I get very good results with putting the date in there.
Perfect.
To tell you the truth, that is actually a suggestion I got from the late great Eric Ward. God rest his soul. He's the one who actually told me that years ago. Eric Ward, who used to be his name was Link Moses. He's passed away sadly. But that's where I got that recommendation from. So hat tip to good old Eric Ward for that.
Perfect. Awesome. Question on pop-ups, and through the testing that you've done, have you experienced any positive or negative impacts from having pop-ups on, I guess, both desktop and or mobile?
That's a great question. As it turns out, we've tested both the interstitial and the exit pop-up a number of times. And there does not seem to be any direct ranking factor there, both on desktop and mobile. We just tested it a couple of weeks ago. So if there is any demotion that happens there when an interstitial comes up, and that's when they're on the page and all of a sudden an interstitial comes up and makes them click before they can get rid of it. That's what I mean by the interstitial. There is no direct demotion for that, both on mobile and desktop, as far as we can tell in our scientific testing. If there's any demotion there, it's because people get annoyed and they click back to Google, or people get annoyed and they don't purchase anymore. So it's an indirect demotion if there is any demotion at all.
Okay. And when you're testing, so if you're testing that, you're obviously looking for the movements in the search positions, but are you also looking at the conversion of the page or the actions at the same time? So you're comparing both side by side?
If that's relevant for the experiment, yes. So my test group has a strict rule that they usually follow. They don't always follow. But sometimes I get stupid and I share what my keywords actually are, and then people start clicking all over the place. So this is not a real keyword. I just made this up. This is not one of my test pages. Or if it is, that was a really big coincidence that I randomly jammed in one of my randomly created test pages. But usually I keep this secret, except for my apprentices, my testing group. And they have really strict instructions not to click anything. We view all of our pages in Tor, the Tor browser, because Tor is fully encrypted, and Tor uses VPNs. And I guarantee Google's not tracking Tor, and Tor is not sending information to the Safe Browse feature for malware, the Safe Search feature, for malware. So that's how Google is tracking all the clicks. That's one of the ways. They also can track everything in Chrome that they want. And the Chrome is the biggest browser being used, and Android is the biggest phone being used. So they have the biggest sample set. A sufficient sample set anyway. But don't answer your question. We don't look at the clicks unless it's important for that test. We have tested user clicks all over the place, and obviously we're looking at Crazy Egg and we're looking at exactly what's going on there.
Perfect. That's cool. Good. Okay, we're going to move on to some offsite stuff, although we've kind of been touching on both anyway. But the question is, do you see the age domain approach lasting much longer? Seems that Google have given an extra boost to domain age. I guess that's referring to the latest updates.
Yeah, I would have to say that's just coincidental. Here's where Quora is your godsend. Here's where Quora is the most important piece of SEO software you have ever encountered. And I'm not even being hyperbolic, guys. I mean this seriously. Quora is so important for a number of reasons. One, you can test over 500 factors over 1,000 pages in 5 minutes and to see what actually correlates with rankings and what doesn't. So, for example, every time we have a new update from Google, we do a before and after of what the ranking factors were before the update and what they were after. And Quora tells us exactly what has changed. And the results are rather surprising and startling. For example, let me share a different screen here. Let me just show you what we've been looking at ever since April 16th. Ever since the April 16th update. Let me just show you here. Let me open this into Paint. There we go. Let me turn screen sharing back on. Okay. So you can see my screen here, I hope.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the April 16th update, and this is the report you can get back from Quora. And it tells you what's up and what's down. Now, anything that's up or down 5 points or 10 points or 16 points, I'll ignore entirely. Because you're absolutely right. These are just correlations. right? So it's like a little correlation, it's probably caused correlation fallacy, you can ignore it. But when something is up 172 points, or when something is up, 80 points, or when something is entered that was not a factor before at all, and now it is a factor for page one, that's the kind of stuff that I pay attention to. And again, it's just correlation, so it's not the highest level of knowledge, it's not scientific experiment knowledge, but it's a lot better than opinion and rumor and hearsay, because this is the actual math of what's going on and not just someone's eyeball guess of what's going on. So this is what we saw on April 16th, that keywords were up 172 points, HTTPS was up 62 points, keywords again were up 70 points, keywords up 50, keywords up 80, and keywords up 84 here. So clearly, Google, this is too much smoke for there not to be fire. Google clearly turned up the relevance of keywords in April 2016. And also having a terms of service page, which was up 50 from the last update before this in March. Those kinds of factors. So this is what Quora can tell you. And how would you ever think of, you might not decide to think of span tags. You might not think of that, right? Quora checks everything, every conceivable thing we thought that Google could possibly track. And we're tracking over 500 to 600 factors. Quora is tracking it, the correlations of what everything is doing. So if Google suddenly sneakily decides to start using keywords and span tags as a ranking factor, how would you know unless you ran Quora or someone in your group ran Quora? And so this is what we found on April 16th, and this is the exact kind of thing that you could find out. We also ran one on July 29th, which everyone called the Medic Update. I found out that it has nothing to do with medical sites. This is the kind of report that Quora can get, this kind of power that Quora will give you. That bit.ly get-Quora link is 25% off Quora, by the way. I called it the Twitter update. I could have called it the social update, because look how much social is up here, social is up here, social is up here. They dialed down keywords a little bit. So from the April update, they're now dialing it down a little bit. A couple other ones were interesting, like number of images without alt text was really up for some reason. I don't know why that is. That could, again, just be correlation. But this is starting to point you in a direction where you know where to look. Or like that maybe they decided to put the label tag a keyword spot, because suddenly it's up 133 points. That's not just correlation, guys. That's way too much smoke for there not to be fire in that case. You never see stuff up 100 points, 133 points from a before and after of an update.
Why are some of these blanked out?
I blanked them out because they were just like up 1 point, up, down 1 point. So I ignore those entirely.
You're not hiding things.
No. I mean, you can run Quora yourself and you can see everything I blanked out. Here's another, just because they're up one or down one. Maybe one or two of these things were super important and I didn't want other people to see. Maybe. But it was mostly because it was just up one, down one. And like I said, I ignore those entirely. Because at that point, Rand Fishkin would be right. That's just correlation. Like, I can't say anything from it being up, it being down 4 points. That doesn't mean a damn thing. Like, that's nothing. Up 172 points, that's like so much smoke in a dry forest. You know there's a fire going on, right?
So is that 172, is that like out of the 50, like 500, or does it not work like that?
That's out of 500.
Okay. So
finally, here's the one that we just ran again for Medic. This is a complete this is another kind of report that Quora will give you. Out of the 72 keywords we ran, or out of the 72 reports we ran, here is the percentage of what the ranking factors are. You want to know what the ranking factors are for Google? Here you go. This was just ran July 29th. So that was, the Medic update, as they're calling it, which it didn't have anything to do with Medic sites. That's just coincidental. This is what's telling you actually, and look again, keywords. And by the way, we've confirmed all this, as I said, through single variable testing. So that's how we have the best SEO knowledge in the industry, in the biz. And that's why you should consider joining my mentor group, or at least watching my show. Because not only do we have the most powerful correlation software giving us, it's like a gold detector. Not only do we have the best gold detector in the industry telling us where gold might be, like a metal detector, we've dug up the most holes and done the most tests to find out where it actually is, based on the best knowledge of what it could be. And we've tested all this, and we've confirmed that, yes, all of this is true, and what Quora has been telling us is true. And so, again, this is not a sales pitch for Quora, but you can do this all manually if you like. You can manually check the 500 factors and the top 1,000 pages that Google gets back for any given search. It's just that this piece of software makes it that much better for you. Or you can join a group that people are doing this, and you don't have to run it yourself.
Awesome. So looking at those reports, keywords is obviously quite important.
You want me to put it back here?
I don't mind. Earlier you mentioned about obviously firing a loads of backlinks. The question is, would you agree that quality content and relevance outweighs link building to some extent after recent Google updates?
No, not at all. So links are still a major ranking factor. Social is also a major ranking factor. That includes no-follow links, and that includes mentions on social, which are no-follow links, essentially. So those are all still major ranking factors. Yes, you can rank with just on-page alone. If you're doing the proper keywords in the right places, like the H1 tags, the span tags, or the LI tags, or whatever it is, if you're doing the proper keywords that Quora and Pop are telling you to do, you can rank with just on-page alone, but you need other stuff. You need the HTTPS, you need speed. Speed is so important lately. Like page size, kilobytes, you can see here. Speed is so important lately. Not only, and I'm not surprised it correlates with rankings in Quora, because the experiments I've run with speed after they've done the speed update in July are so important for ranking. So no, if you want to rank for any major niche that has any competition at all, you're probably going to need links. The only way you wouldn't is because everybody there has been so naughty and so bad, they've all got a demotion, that Google is just throwing up, really weak candidates there because that's all they have left to rank. And that was the case for the last couple of years. We've been seeing that after, Penguin and Panda, this kind of onslaught. But now people are wising up to what's actually going on. And I don't find that there's very many niches where you can rank without links. You're probably going to need links.
Perfect. And one question, just define what for you is a good backlink.
Okay, so that's another huge question. So I've done very extensive testing into backlinks, as I talked about. A good backlink is one that has plausible deniability. That if I wanted to sum it up into a sentence, that's what I would say, and then I could start talking for 10 hours about it. So you tell me how in depth you want me to get. But basically, it's one that has plausible deniability. So think about everything that everybody has put in the disavow file. That is the main mechanism Google has used to machine learn what a spammy backlink is, a spammy quote unquote backlink is. So think about how all those backlinks look. They're on a crazy blog that has no readership, that it maybe is new, and it's spun or really terrible grammar because I hired someone on Upwork to do it. And they've got jam-packed with 3 links, always in the same spot, the first paragraph, the 5th paragraph, and the last paragraph, with some kind of highly commercial anchor text. Although I tested, that doesn't seem to matter, but I'm just saying what's in the disavow file. And then they have, on that same blog, they have articles about chiropractic, and they have articles about lawyers, and they have articles about plumbing in Houston, Texas, and they have articles on all these commercial niches all over the place. That's the worst case scenario, right? That's where I would not want to link from. And I'll let you in a little secret. I get links from there all the time, and it's perfectly fine. There's no problem. Google is actually, after Penguin, Google is actually surprisingly forgiving when it comes to your backlinks. Not completely forgiving, so don't go crazy, but they're actually surprisingly forgiving. And can you guess why? The reason is because if they're using user clicks to verify everything they're doing, at the end of the day, if they're using user clicks to verify that this is a good page or not, they don't really care what it took for you to get there. They don't really care. At the end of the day, if people are clicking it and they're terminating the search and they're not bouncing back to Google and they're not pogo sticking around the site, and they can easily tell that this page about red apples is the perfect answer for this query about red apples, then they don't. At the end of the day, they don't really give that much of a crap how many bad links you got. But that being said, don't go crazy with backlinking. You still got to be careful. I've never been able to negative SEO through backlinking, except for very rare scenarios where you trick Google into thinking a demoted site is the canonical. And then you can get those 2 pages set up in a ranking cluster, and you can get all of them demoted. But it's very difficult to do, although we've done it twice in testing, but it's very hard to do. So other than that, you don't have to really worry about backlinks too much. Just remember, you want plausible deniability. You do not want to get your backlinks from what everyone else is disavowing. So what is the opposite of that? A real blog with real readership and a real author, maybe even a newspaper, where they give you a link. You're the only link in the page, or only one of them. And if they tend not to give out links that look like they're being paid for, and they tend not to write links on write articles on many different topics, that in theory would be the best kind of link. And then we found out one other little secret that can improve the power of your backlinks, but at least 3 to 5 times. At least 3 to 5 times more powerful backlinks. We found one little secret through testing. And I'll have to keep that one under wraps. That one I'm going to have to give you a bit of a tease and say, come join my group if you want to learn what that is. Okay. But it's not the anchor text. It's something actually that's quite amazing. Again, we found out that out through scientific testing. You could definitely join if you want to find out what that is. But to answer the question, you want plausible deniability. So just look at your backlinks and say, what would a manual reviewer say about this? And if you can't honestly say that they would not be sure whether you paid for that or not, you don't want that to be 100% of your backlink profile for sure.
Perfect. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to move on to some Google algorithm stuff. So we have an issue at the moment, and this question relates to this issue. And it says, what do you do when a site is cloned on another domain and your site is losing rankings and traffic, and perhaps as seen as the duplicate one? So we have a few issues at the moment where we have affiliates who somehow had their sites cloned, and Google is looking at the clones and seeing those as the original.
Yeah, this is a very well-known negative SEO tactic. It's related to the one I just mentioned, although the one I just mentioned works slightly differently. It's terrible when RankBrain gets confused like that, but it all comes down to quality and authority. If they have more authority and quality than you do, then Google's going to choose them instead of you. So there's a couple things you can do. One, you can rewrite all your content. You probably should, and you should get Pop or Quora and do it according to what they say. Pop only costs a few bucks, so it'd be worth a try. And Quora is more expensive than that. I fully admit Quora is fairly expensive.
And so, in terms of Quora, are there any alternatives that you recommend?
Pop would be the only alternative, but Pop is a screwdriver as to Quora is a complete toolbox. Like you saw the reports you can generate out of Quora. It's not only does it give you the on-page suggestions, it gives you all the suggestions, and you can do research on any niche before and after an update. It's the competitive analysis. It's the competitive SEO software on steroids.
And there's a lot of on-site stuff. Is it also got the off-site stuff as well?
Of course, yeah. If you have an Ahrefs or an SEMrush account, you can plug it into Quora, and it will check social, it'll check backlinks, it'll check all that stuff. Okay. But to answer the question on the copying, so what you really want to do is you want to make sure that Google knows you're the quality and you're the authoritative version of that content. So if someone's copied you, what you do is report them to the web spam form. It's the first thing you do. Then you go into a John Mueller hangout, and you complain to John Mueller and you say, hey, these guys copied my content. And while that's happening, you also go and you rewrite your entire site. While you're at it, update your on page and start beating them that way. And then make sure your conversion rate optimization is killer. I cannot stress enough how important user clicks are. That's when people are talking quality, they're talking user clicks. Google tracks everywhere anyone clicks and everything they do on your website, and you have to make sure that your conversions are the most important. I swear to God, I think that the user clicks part of the algorithm is at least 30 to 50% of the algorithm. It is so important when it comes to RankBrain, choosing your page and sticking your page there. If you ever noticed your page A/B like bouncing, like dancing, going from like spot 4 to spot 8 or spot 4 to 16, that is because they're A/B testing you, because RankBrain doesn't like your quality, or maybe you just bought some spammy links and it can A/B test you. That can happen as well. But if you didn't just get some links on that page, I guarantee to you that RankBrain does not like your quality necessarily. Panda doesn't like your quality necessarily. And you need to improve your conversion rate optimization. You need to improve your micro conversions and your macro conversions. Install a piece of software like Crazy Egg and watch Crazy Egg and watch where people click and watch what's hanging them up. And if you can't tell, if you don't know, Crazy Egg or even Hotjar, if you don't like Neil Patel, Crazy Egg is Neil Patel's piece of software. So if you don't like Neil Patel, you can use Hotjar. But I use Crazy Egg. Sorry, Andrew?
People tend to like Neil quite a lot here. So
yeah, okay, good. So then go ahead and support him. Use Crazy Egg. It's I hear it's his software. I believe that's the case. And the best thing about Crazy Egg is not the heat mapping, although that's great. And the scroll mapping is great too, to see actually what percentage of people actually got to what part of your page. But the best thing about Crazy Egg is the recordings. I guarantee to you, if you go in and you watch, you sort the list from shortest visits to longest, and you just click play and click continuous and watch 10 visits on your site, I guarantee to you, you will find exactly where the problem is. And you just keep doing that. You keep chasing that until your conversions skyrocket. Like, oh, they don't like this picture for some reason. That's weird. Okay, change it. Okay, they get a little further down the page. Oh, look, they get here where my price is really prominent, and then they leave. Okay, my price is too high. I need to either increase my sales value propositions around the price. So that's funny. I was just telling my mentor group this today. I was lecturing them today about this. You need to increase the sales value propositions around the price to justify said price. You need to sell the dream. You need to put pictures of your target demo enjoying whatever your product is or whatever it is there. And to justify said price, or you can reduce said price if at all possible, or remove it from that point and put it later on in the process after they've had more buy-in. And you just do that in the recordings until you finally are getting them converting at the maximum number you can get. If you position yourself properly in the sales search funnel, you guys are familiar with the sales and search funnel, yes?
Yeah.
Good. If you position yourself properly at the very laser edge of the sales funnel, when they have their credit card in hand and they're ready to buy the red apples, they searched buy red apples or buy blue widgets or whatever it is, or purchase blue widgets online or whatever that kind of query is. If you put a site there and you have the proper user interface, I guarantee you can convert 60 to 70% of the people who go there. I guarantee it. If you have the proper user interface, and I've done it.
We've ran a lot of sort of video recording in the past, and it is amazing what these users are doing. You know, they're just clicking in the strangest places you'd never imagine.
Yes,
yes. It's unbelievable, but you know, it's great. I agree. It's such a great learning opportunity.
And not only, I guarantee you're going to boost your rankings. I've proven this scientifically, that pogo sticking is a demoter, and bounce back to Google is an even worse demoter. You do not want them to bounce back to Google. That drops at least on my one-page SERP with 5 pages. That page dropped 3 spots. So what is that? That's like a 80% drop or whatever it is, right? So I can't tell you what happened on a SERP for 100 pages. Well, I could repeat that experiment actually. I should probably do that. But bounce back to SERP was the worst. Pogo sticking dropped 1 or 2 spots. Bounce back to SERP dropped 3 spots out of a 5-page SERP. And yeah, you do not want them doing that. And positive movements, mouse movements, and highlighting words and clicking stuff like that boosted the page to number 1 for weeks.
Nice. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So you got the whole 80-20 rule, spend 80% of your time on the most important things. What do you believe is the biggest weighing ranking factors today? Where would you spend 80% of your time?
That's a great question. So the first thing I would do is I would do the on page. Again, this is not a sales. I really don't mean it to be like a sales pitch for Pop and Cora. But you really can't do this by hand anymore. Google has got AIs choosing the keywords, so now you need AIs to help you choose the keywords and do it. If you don't like Pop and Cora, you could use some other software. I just don't know of any that do what Pop and Cora do. If you guys want to write a piece of software that does it, go ahead. But you really check out those softwares, and at the very least, in every keyword spot that's important, you want to make sure you have the same amount of keywords, if not more, and you need keyword variations and synonyms as well. Once the on page is done, you should see a huge boost if you've done it right. After the page is crawled, you fetch it in Search Console. 2 to 3 days later, it should have a huge jump. If you don't, you've done it wrong, because I guarantee to you on page works, and every single one of my students has seen these boosts. Some have seen 80 spot boosts. I got 198 spot boost one time. I went from spot 200 to spot 2. So that's very rare. That hardly ever happens. But most people get at least a 10 spot boost, maybe an 80 spot boost, depending on where you are. Like if you're way down in the SERPs or whatever. Do that first. Then, or you can do conversion rate optimization at the same time, because of course the content on your page is going to affect where people click. So you got to kind of do the CRO and the on page simultaneously to massage it to be good for both. And then you just see where you end up. Now, if you're in a niche where social works for you, or if you've got a social person who's really good, my wife does my social. She's excellent. You need someone who knows how to do Facebook. Facebook is the cheapest source of traffic currently that there is. And so if you could do organic social, that'd be great. But 90% of businesses can't do that because they have really boring products and really boring stuff. Don't just be like putting your sales on Facebook. That's terrible. People hate that. That's like going to a cocktail party and meeting a guy who just chucks his business card at you. Buy my cars, buy my cars. You're like that's kind of the equivalent of going to a Facebook page. It's like, we have a sale, we have a sale. No one gives a shit about your sale. Sorry. No one gives a crap about your sale. And so if you can't make friends on social because you're just not in the industry that works, fair enough. Then you gotta get paid traffic and make sure that traffic is converting. So again, that CRO has to be part of that as well. Don't send Facebook traffic to your site that just bounce and hates your page, because not only you're wasting your Facebook money and wasting Facebook sales, you're also pissing Google off and getting a demotion from that as well. So that's a double whammy you really need to watch out for. You got to do the conversion rate optimization, but you're going to make so many sales when you do it. And then after that, I'll see where I rank. And if I don't have to buy any links, then I don't buy any links. I mean, sorry, acquire links. I'm putting acquire in quotations. But at the end of the day, guys, you got to buy links. I use SERPworks. Let me share my screen again here. And I use a piece of software called SERPworks. You could use Cora for this as well. But here's another cheapy way you can get around. SERPworks is much more cheap. For just like a quickie SERP analysis / competitor analysis, I use something called SERPworks. And I'm not an affiliate of this one. I just get it for free from Richard, who makes it, because I point so many people towards it that he just says, "Do you want it for free?" I'm like, "Sure." So he didn't give me an affiliate link for it. But SERPworks is really good. It's got all the information there that you need. The PA really is the most important thing. And check out what the PA is of the SERP. So let me do that as an example here. Let me go. Let me just what kind of niches do you guys work in? Give me an example search.
Let's say diet, like weight loss pills.
So best diet pills?
Yeah, that would be perfect, yeah.
Okay. So this is exactly how I would attack this. Let me share my screen. Turn that off. Turn this on. Okay, so we're going to see some infinite here, but okay. Oh, no. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so here's my normalized search for Google US with an unknown IP. I use Bright Star. What are they called again? Here, let me hold on a second. I use these guys for that. If you want to get a nice normalized SERP in any place, use Bright Local. I don't know if you guys can see this. Local search results checker.
Yep.
This is really good if you guys don't know this one.
Yeah, that's cool.
And you could search wherever you want from. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You can also use the Google AdWords ad preview, and you can get a pretty good result from that. But you can't use a SERP overlay for this. And so I would use SERPworks. I would click this. Now, first thing I would do is I would do some brand analysis, some differentiation analysis. How am I going to stand out on this SERP? This is a very competitive SERP, although it's only worth 58 cents a click. So it's not the winner in this area. This is not the one you want to rank for. This is not the winner. It's only worth 58 cents a click. But anyway, if I could rank here number one, it's not like I would delete it. I wouldn't turn my nose up at this, but this is not necessarily the best one to rank for. But anyway, I would say, how can I differentiate myself here on this? The Mayo Clinic is advertising here.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Okay, so this is what I would look at in terms of links, because that's what we're talking about. One, I would say, who's here? Amazon is getting the clicks because they're getting the site links. WebMD, Mayo Clinic. There's 2 results here from Mayo Clinic, and one from CVS. Yeah, so this is obviously a your money or your life query. This is the kind of query that they're talking about in the Medic Update, although I don't think the Medic Update was specifically about medical sites necessarily, or specifically. Definitely, I mean, it affected them because it was a relevance update, and medical sites are some of the sites that need to be the most relevant, that Google is the most worried about, and they call them the YMYL, the Your Money or Your Life sites, and they have ever since the Google Quality Raters Guideline for those of us who've been reading the leaked version for at least 10 years, and they've recently published that publicly. But
there's a question: what your thoughts are on YMYL?
Again, it's just abstractions that they give their Google raters that they then try to build algorithms around. So I think it's possible in terms of query deserves diversity. So query deserves diversity, QDD, as opposed to QDF, query deserves freshness. I think query deserves diversity. They definitely do place websites here. Like, I don't think Mayo Clinic is getting two results here because the Mayo Clinic is getting more clicks here, although it's entirely possible. Like Gary Ilyash said in a tweet a few years ago that whenever you see a search results page that has results from more than one result from one site, so 2 results from one site or 3 results from one site, even worse, or 2 results from 2 different sites, that is a search results page where there's a huge quality differential between the site getting the double and the sites that are not. Mm-hmm. So if what Gary Ilyash said there, and he's a webmaster trends analyst who works in the Zurich office with John Mueller, he's very outspoken. He's quite sarcastic. I'm sure you guys have noticed him on Twitter. He releases some very interesting stuff sometimes because he's got a big brass set of balls and he doesn't seem to care about getting in trouble. He'll just straight out tell you some ranking secrets sometimes. But I would think that maybe the Mayo Clinic is getting more clicks here because also they do have the ad here, and they've already proven scientifically that if you have an ad here, you're going to get more clicks on your result down here. But I think it's also in Your Money, Your Life, to answer your question, in Your Money, Your Life niches, we do see Google wanting to tell you about the scams, don't we? Right? And I think that's query deserves diversity, and I think that's specifically a YMYL QDD, to use the acronyms. And I think that's why we're seeing 2 results from Mayo Clinic here. So anyway, going back to the original question as to doing competitive analysis very quickly with SERPworks. SERPworks tells me right here the average of what's going on. And so this is going to tell me to some degree. Now, Amazon is in here, and so I have to compete with them. And again, I just ignore Amazon because it's like you have to ignore them. So I would have to manually now go, okay, who could I beat on this SERP? If I'm selling diet pills, who here has the affiliate site that's selling diet pills? Okay, these guys, maybe even Skinny Bitch, these guys, right? Mm-hmm. But those are, you're not going to beat Mayo Clinic, and you're not going to beat WebMD, and you're not going to beat Amazon. They have They have permanently reserved spots here for them that Google is just waiting to give them. You might be this, let's see this one here. Is this guy a spammy affiliate? Medical news today.
More than likely. In fact.
More than likely.
Yeah.
More than likely. Let's see the affiliate link here. Where's your affiliate link? If I can find an affiliate link, then they are definitely a spammy affiliate. I don't find one. They're an AdSense site. They could be an AdSense site. They got, if they have an affiliate link, they're doing it wrong because I can't find it. I should be able to find it in 5 seconds.
You see all these ads. What's your takeaway and what's the data showing you about ads on the pages?
You don't want to go over 50%. You definitely don't want to go over 50% coverage. And you don't the ads above the fold algo will get you, or at least it used to. I'll need to have to test that actually, because we haven't tested that for years. But definitely, I see it in Crazy Egg all the time. People see an ad like if all this was just ads, like here, if this was all ads, they'd be super pissed. Now they don't even see them. I didn't even see these ads, right? Good thing I was looking at SEMrush and not porn sites before this thing. Otherwise, this would be filled with porn. But I don't see an affiliate link here, so I think these guys are definitely an AdSense site. So that is good news, because when I'm doing my competitive analysis, I could beat these guys. So how many spots are available for me is the question. Maybe these guys, and they're getting a lot of clicks here too because they're getting site links. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can't beat CVS. This is like going to float in. You might be able to. So let's see. So these are the guys we need to compete with. They got a PA of 31, PA of 39, PA of 35, and up here we got a PA of 57. And 50. So we need to have a PA of around 40. And they got 69 links, 255 links, 70, ignore WebMD, ignore Mayo Clinic, 19, 28, 26. So if you want to do a sketchy little quickie kind of competitive analysis in terms of how many links you're going to need to rank there, I'm going to need to have a PA of around 40, and I'm going to have anywhere from 10 to 300 links to do that.
Yeah.
And in terms of age domains, someone asked about age domains earlier. Our Cora software does not show age domains correlates with rankings in any way, shape, or form. Time in the database, time in the index highly correlates with rankings.
Okay.
Age domain does not. Does that make sense? So if they have the age domain rank. So anyway, does that answer the question on links? So you need to look at the spots that are actually available to you. And so ignore Amazon, ignore WebMD, and that'll give you a much more realistic sense of what PA need. Ignore DA. DA doesn't matter. DA is just the PA of the index page. That's all that is. So you want to go for PA, or you could use Citation Flow if you prefer. If you prefer Majestic, or you can use SEMrush if you prefer. You can also plug in Ahrefs into SERPworks. To tell you guys the truth, I don't use Ahrefs, and I have SEMrush just because I like to check out the traffic of other sites. I don't even need SEMrush. I don't need those pieces of SEO software because Moz's PA is close enough, and I look at the links and I go, okay, I need a PA of about 40 and about 100 links. Okay, that's going to cost me about $1,000. Okay, not a problem.
Perfect. A little fun question while we're here. It says, did Panda and Penguin quit their jobs at Google? If so, do you think these algos are coming back once Google changes what's under their hood? Question mark.
That's a great question. Panda didn't quit. Panda's still around. It's kind of merged with RankBrain, and it's definitely looking for quality sites. Penguin, I think, quit. They said Penguin quit, and like I said, I've tried every which way I can to negative SEO a page in testing. So this is a page that has no trust, no traffic, no clicks, nothing special about it. And I've been hammering it with backlinks, And I've been hammering pages in the wild with backlinks too, and I've never made one drop. The only time you drop from backlinks is if you get some links and you start A/B testing. You start the page dance for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you disavow or delete links. Then the page drops, because Google has that SEO algorithm dialed in to watch to see what you do. It's like, I think these links are pretty spammy. I'm not sure, so I'm going to make this page dance. And then the SEO gets scared and disavows. That is the problem. Don't ever, 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 ever use the disavow file unless you get a manual action versus site. And even then, I would have already built in link routers and ways to delete my backlinks, so I never have to use a disavow file at all. It has never helped in any of the 80 plus tests I've done in the disavow file. It has never helped rankings ever.
So if you've got loads of crappy links from some competitor, you just you leave them there.
You say thank you. You say thank you for the free link juice.
Yeah, perfect. And so on the links, a lot of affiliates use PBNs and build PBNs. What are your thoughts on the use of PBNs?
Yeah, I know PBNs are really, really popular. And hey, if you have a team already made doing it and you have a well-oiled team and you guys can crank out your own sites pretty well, then more power to you. I have no problems with PBNs. It's just that they're so expensive and time consuming, right? So you got to buy age domains, because new domains are a dead giveaway and they're not going to help you. Probably not going to help you. Although in testing they work fine, but in the wild, I wouldn't have any plausible deniability if all my links came from websites that are only a month old. Yeah. So I wouldn't rely on those only. So you got to go more age domains, and age domains, a lot of them are being sold because they have penalties to begin with. And so although we tested PBNs and in a controlled environment, and 5 out of 7 times it helped, 2 out of 7 times it demoted. Okay. So read from that what you will. I don't like those odds. Whenever I test a blog link from a real blog with real readership that has plausible deniability, I always get good results. I've never demoted a page.
Yeah. Nice.
Now, keep in mind, sometimes I get a little spammy and the page starts to A/B test. And hopefully that didn't happen with a client, because then they'd start to freak out. You're like, oh, no, sorry, that was a little spammy. Sorry. And you just got to let it A/B test for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it will stop, 3 to 4 weeks in some cases, and it will stop. I can show you this if you want. I think I can still show you this. Let me turn off screen share here for a second. So it looks like this. Let me go to Search Console. You cannot see my screen right now, yes? Please. I don't want to show all my clients on a public broadcast. They'd probably be pissed off about that.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Okay, where is Search Console? Let me get you a website ready. I can show you on one of my crappy affiliate sites that I'm running. You guys are gonna laugh when you see this. This is a terrible site. I just mostly do it for testing. I'm like, if I can rank this crappy site, I can rank any site. What's going on here? For some reason it's not working here.
No worries. We have a few more questions we can go through. One question which kind of relates to all what we've been talking about is authority. And everyone's screaming about author authority and EAT and, have you done much work around the authoritative nature of the site and, ways to build authority and how that reflects in the algorithms?
Well, EAT is just an abstraction that they give their quality raters that really is not scientifically testable, and again, it's not directly mappable onto a ranking factor. So I really can't talk about it for any reason, because again, it's too vague. Like talking about query intent as a ranking factor. I mean, you can do that if you want, but tell me what it actually is in terms of the mechanics of what's going on, and I'll see if I can test it, and then I can talk about it intelligently.
My understanding is it's the review team are using it manually.
Yes.
But how Google are planning on trying to automate some of that is unknown.
Well, exactly. And I mean, so until we know what that is, we can't replicate it. I prefer to use I prefer to use things that I can replicate, and then I know what the actual ranking factor is instead of kind of using an abstraction.
Yeah. And there's a question about different countries and Google's algorithm, and how are there big differences between the Google algorithm and between countries, or do you think it's the same thing in every country? It's just all of the factors are it's different because of the content that's in those locations.
It's for the most part, Google wants to save money, and so they always want to write, and they've always admitted this. They want to write algorithms that work for every language. The problem, of course, or in this case, the opportunity, is that Google is obviously a Western-based, an English-centric company, and so most of their algorithms for quality and for semantic processing and analysis work best in the English language. So that means, and that also means in terms of backlink detection, they have a much easier time telling in English what a spammy backlink is than they do a website in, say, Turkish or whatever. So this is a huge opportunity for people in Europe. And this is why when you're in Europe, it really seems like some of the algorithms, like Panda and Penguin doesn't exist here because they have yet to catch up. And in the past, John Mueller has admitted, actually, that when they say they're rolling out globally, they only mean the U.S. Quite often, a lot of these algorithms they said were rolling out globally were only the U.S. But now that I know how it's working and now that I've tested it, I know that I'm pretty sure I have every piece of evidence to suggest, and I have lots of people from Europe in my mentorship group as well doing tests as well, that no matter what the language is, they've got it on lock for the most part, but they don't have the data sets in other languages. They don't have the data sets for semantics in other languages, and they don't have as many data sets for the spammy backlinks in other languages. So you can get away with a little bit more in those areas. So that's a great thing.
Right. A question about
and a lot of less competition.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? There's a lot less competition in a lot of these other territories. A question here about social proof being a ranking factor, and what are some of the best ways of adding social proof?
It's a great question. So we've tested this empirically, and we came up with some empirical results. And this is how it works. There's two social ranking factors. One, two. This is two, or Z, if you will. So one is links on social, so on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Pinterest, links back to your site. That is the one ranking factor that pushed the needle. We've ranked sites, ranked pages through that. Two is a reciprocal link between your page and your social page. So this is your social page, your organic page with organic likes and real organic stuff, and this is your web page, your index page.
Mm-hmm.
And your web page lists your social pages, and your social pages in the website field lists your website. And this also is a ranking factor. We've been testing this for years, and it's been a ranking factor for years.
Okay, interesting. Question on if a site has declined in its rankings, would you continue to invest in it, or would you move the content to a clean domain and try again?
If a website has loses rankings, my only answer and the best answer is I would do a professional SEO audit from someone who really knows what they're doing and has a serious knowledge of the ranking algorithms as they are. because I can't answer the question as to whether or not you should drop this website until I see how bad it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
But
And do you
it
see
would
a
be,
difference?
sorry, Andrew. It would be exceedingly rare. Even after I do the audit, it would be exceedingly rare for me to say, hey, this is so bad that I can't fix this. You need to do a complete new site. It's exceedingly rare that would happen. That would only happen in one of two situations. One, they've gotten over 3 manual penalties, in which case I would say, you know what, this domain is burnt, scorched earth, we need to move on. Or two, if they're trying to rank for a niche that has so many heavy hitters, so many big domains are ranking there, that their site with a big, huge, crappy blog is never going to be able to compete with these guys unless they have like $100,000 for linking for the year or something like that. If they got that kind of a budget, then there's no niche I can't rank in. There's no site I can't save or fix, except for the one that had 3 manual penalties. But if they don't have that kind of a budget, then in that kind of scenario, I might say, you know what? Let's just rank a little EMD, a little PMD, little 5-page site, laser focused using Pop and Cora tell us to do for on page, laser focused on best red apples, and let's beat them on specificity because we can't beat them on link budget.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but generally, it's probably just algorithmic changes. It's not necessarily a penalty just because you've dropped a couple of pages or, you know.
Well, exactly. I mean, technically speaking, I will use Google's terminology for penalties. So technically a penalty is a manual action you get in Google Search Console. Everything else is a core adjustment. And they also have some demoting and promoting algorithms as well.
Sure. And
but all of that on this end of things, on the algorithmic things, all of that can be fixed. Yeah. And I fix them on a regular basis. Go to bit.ly/SEO proof, and you'll see some of the audits I've done and some of the results.
Awesome. And finally, we have one final question. And it's just about AI and how embedded we believe AI is into the current Google algorithm. And I guess, well, it's a strange one because the algorithm by its nature, I guess, is fairly AI in itself.
So that's the question, is how embedded is AI?
Yeah.
The answer is completely and utterly embedded. So definitely, not only is Google telling us this straight up, that's what they've said, right? They've gone on record and said that RankBrain is at least 30% of the algorithm. They've gone and said that. I think it was in Forbes magazine or a major magazine. One, so Google has directly admitted it. Two, their head of search after Amit Singhal left, their head of search was John Gianandre, who was their head of AI. And he was their head of search for a number of years before Facebook poached him after this Trump debacle. And actually, he doesn't even work for Facebook anymore. Now he's moved on to somewhere else, if I recall correctly. And so I guarantee, if the head of AI is also your head of search, I guarantee AI is embedded in their search. And 2 and 3, finally, based on my single variable experiments that I do on a regular basis, I have noticed for sure that they're using an artificial intelligence to decide what to rank. For example, the very fact that, let me share a different screen here. The very fact that they have moved this up so much proves, or is a good piece of evidence anyway, that they are using an artificial intelligence. See how important.
Oops. Looks like Josh has left the room. He may pop back. We'll give him a couple of seconds. Oh, here he is. He's back. Hey, Josh. I think you just dropped out there. Pressed the wrong button, maybe. We can't hear you, though. You need to probably just press the mic button again. I think we're starting to see your screen, but I still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go. Sorry about that. This software is weird. You got to click on the mic, otherwise it can't hear you. Sorry. I don't know how much you heard there, but my third reason for believing that AI is seriously embedded into their algorithms is because of the scientific testing I've done and because of what Quora, as a massive correlation piece of software, is showing us. This is the dead giveaway that an AI is choosing what the ranking factors are now. This is look at how important keywords are in your page now, and it makes kind of sense. I mean, there's no better if people couldn't cheat the system, if people couldn't stuff keywords, there's no better indication as to what is more relevant for red apples than the page that says red apples the most times, right? And so this is the dead giveaway of a dumb artificial intelligence going, I need to pick what page is about red apples. Okay, what pages have most red apples in them? Like that's what Rank Brain is doing. Rank Brain's not smart. It's about as smart as a 3-year-old right now, right? Or a 4-year-old. And at the end of the day, Google doesn't care because they're using user clicks to make sure the quality is there. So we see this all the time. We put up pages on SERPs all the time, even ones that have Latin in them. They're not even full of English. They just have English in key spots, and they have Latin everywhere else. And we win ranking competitions that way by using Pop and Core to do it. And that's because the AI is looking at key spots and saying, okay, this page is probably about red apples, and they put it up there, and they see if they get the clicks to keep it there, right? And so what we do is we get a page ranking, like check out Rhinoplasty Plano. I don't know if Kyle's page is still there, but for the longest time, we had a page in Rhinoplasty Plano, Texas, Plano, Rhinoplasty Plano. And he was ranking there, and it was a Latin site. The site was all in Latin and just H1s and bold text. And these spots here, these kind of spots that Core said and Pop said to put in English, he put Rhinoplasty Plano in there. And the domain name was rhinoplastyplano.com/rhinoplasty-plano. That was the page. And he had it ranking there for weeks because he was bragging about it, and all of us SEOs were going there and clicking on it, and we couldn't believe it. So I could believe it because I know what science he used to do it. But we had all these people clicking on it, and so he's getting the clicks as well. And so they fooled Google sufficiently and convincingly because as far as Google is concerned, it was all about Rhinoplasty Plano. People searched for Rhinoplasty Plano. They clicked that page, and then they closed the tab. That's a win, right? So he was able to keep it there for the longest time. So don't think about black hatting the signals, by the way. It's really hard to do. Maybe in local you could do it, but it'd be really hard to do otherwise. We've tried that, trust me.
Nice.
But yeah, so to answer your question, AI is for sure part of the algorithm. They've used AI to machine learn what links are bad. They've used AI to do their whole process. Google is nothing but an artificial intelligence. It's just not very smart, which is good news for us because we can manipulate it.
And how quickly is it becoming smarter? Do you know that?
Oh, every month. These are the updates you're seeing. Every month, this is changing, right?
Well, based on the it's not got any smarter, I don't think. But
it's getting smarter. Maybe not. In this last update that we just saw in this last few weeks, they've made a lot of updates in the space of just a few weeks. So maybe this was some problems they saw that they didn't like. Like you noticed in the, I'm not going to share it again because I'll probably turn off the screen by accident. But you noticed in that one screen I put up there, they dialed in April 16th. They dialed up keywords crazy, and then the next update they dialed it down in a few places. They're tweaking the dials, right? They're like, this is too many keywords. Dial this down a little bit. Oh, HTTPS is not relevant enough. Let's dial that up a bit. But sorry.
Those dials, that must also be fairly automated as well.
Probably. It's probably all artificial intelligence at this point. Because if they can watch all the user clicks, which they can and do, then they can tell what's working and what's not working, and they can just machine learn what's going on. But it's not going to be completely machine learned. It's going to be based on what the human beings think should be good factors as well. Because, and I can tell you that for two reasons. One, John Mueller said so, point blank. He said they will never be a point where it's just artificial intelligence. Because then it'll get away from them and they'll never know what's ranking what, and they'll never be able to fix it if they need to at that point. And two, because John Gianandrea is no longer the head of search at Google. He moved on to Facebook, and then he's moved on from there. So, and now their director of engineering is now the director of search.
Yeah.
Ray Kurzweil, I believe. So that tells me that, okay, they've used AI as much as they're gonna, and this is and to a fairly impressive extent, but they're never going to take the search engineers out of the loop. They're never going to take Paul Harr out of the loop and those guys. And so you still need to listen to them and what they're saying. But that is, in terms of a piece of evidence, that is way less truthy than the Cora software and the correlation studies that you can do. And that's way less truthy than the single variable experiments that my mentor group is based on.
Fantastic. So everyone, go check out those links. Definitely get the software and have some fun. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very, very much for your time. It's been absolutely amazing. Yeah,
it's my pleasure, guys. Here's those links again if you want to check them out. And if you have any questions, just email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And hopefully the affiliates learn a lot there. And just, again, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, guys. Talk to you soon.